Oh, this was one of the questions I didn't expect. Talking about signings in the winter break, I think there are so many games to be played before that. And in the position we are in, it's the last thing that's on my mind. Maybe not on Richard's, but it's the last thing on my mind. So it's not a topic at all for me at the moment.
Well, here's a stat that may surprise you. Liverpool have been behind for 37% of their game time in the Premier League this season. That is worse than 17th place Burnley and 19th place Forest. Only West Ham and Wolves have been in a losing position for longer than Liverpool. Right, let's speak live to someone who knows Liverpool inside out. That's James Pearce from The Athletic. James, thank you so much for joining us, mate. Let's get straight into it. What do you think has been the main reason for Liverpool's drop in form this season?
Yeah, I think it's that defensive vulnerability that stands out more than anything else. You just look at the numbers. It's 17 goals conceded after 11 games compared to 6 conceded at the same time a year ago. They've been too easy to get at. I wouldn't just point the finger of blame just at the back line. I think, there's, in midfield, they've been too easy to play through. And at the top end of the pitch, they haven't pressed as well as they did last season as a unit. So, various mitigating circumstances for that with, new players still adjusting to their surroundings, injuries which have contributed to key personnel not being at the same level as well. But that's the biggest thing that Slot has to change, especially think of set pieces and when teams have gone direct against them too often they've wilted.
Yeah, you mentioned the new players there in their time to adapt. I mean, when they were signing those players, everyone was pretty much saying the league's wrapped up already for Liverpool. Do you think they almost got their summer business a bit wrong? Almost brought in too many of those straightaway starters.
I don't think they got it wrong. I think one, it's too early. I think to be making kind of sweeping judgments. We're only 11 games into the league season, and also a lot of the changes were enforced. When you think Trent Alexander-Arnold moving on, to Real Madrid, Jarell Quansah, Harvey Elliott, players like this wanted to leave in search of more game time. I think everyone was in agreement it was the right time to kind of draw a line under Darwin Núñez's Liverpool career. Luis Diaz, wanted the kind of money that Liverpool just weren't prepared to offer him. So, at the time, everyone was saying that was a deal that made perfect sense given his age. So, I think you have to say only so far the only summer signing who's really hit the ground running is Hugo Ekitike. But too many of the others, I think it's too soon to judge. Alexander Isak, the buzz around his signing, but he just hasn't been fit enough to contribute. Florian Wirtz is still clearly adjusting to the pace and the physicality of the Premier League. So, Jeremy Frimpong has had 2 hamstring problems, so that's been an issue.
Yeah, and we were talking obviously about Jamie Carragher mentioning the need that Liverpool need to sign a centre back in January. That was put to Arne Slot. He was a bit mystified by the statement. What do you think? Do you think they need to get that centre back in January, and will they?
I think they do. Yeah, whether they will or not is a different matter. I think they at the moment, when you look at, they're about to embark. Saturday against Forest is the first of 7 games in the space of 22 days, and they've obviously only got 3 established senior centre backs, having lost Giovanni Leone to that season-ending ACL injury. If anything was to happen to Virgil van Dijk or Ibrahima Konate, they would be in big trouble, because also Slot has been reluctant to turn to Joe Gomez so far this season. His only 2 starts have been in the Carabao Cup. So I think it's something that they really do need to look at, because if they were to suffer another injury in that department, it could potentially really wreck hopes of salvaging something from this season. Mark Gay is the one obviously that everyone's talking about, but I think it's going to be difficult to get him in January when Palace obviously pulled the plug on deadline day, and the decision they made then was they were going to keep hold of him for the last year of his contract. And I do doubt whether Liverpool are going to be willing to pay the kind of money that would kind of test that resolve at Palace for someone who, of course, they can get for free next summer. And also, from the player's viewpoint, it's much more lucrative for Mark Gay to move as a free agent next summer rather than in January.
Yeah, it's fascinating to talk to you, James, because obviously you know Arne Slot's Liverpool so well. I mean, you've got your brand new book, very subtly placed there in the back. I'll hold one up here as well. This is it, James Pearce, Walk On, Inside Arne Slot's Liverpool. What can you tell us, James? What can we expect in here?
Thanks, Roman. Yeah, it's the kind of story of the transition from the Jurgen Klopp era to the Arne Slot one, and of course, going back to January 2024 when Jurgen Klopp dropped that bombshell, a lot of Liverpool fans had a sense of trepidation and fear about what the future might look like. I think rival fans were probably rubbing their hands in delight and thinking that Liverpool would fall away. Yet, it was seamless in terms of the transition. So it goes into kind of how they tempted Michael Edwards back with increased responsibilities as FSG's CEO of football, the importance of bringing in Richard Hughes as sporting director, and all the changes that went on behind the scenes and the process of appointing Slot, and then how the Dutchman went about putting his stamp on the squad he inherited from Jurgen Klopp and taking them to the next level with winning the Premier League title in the way he did and exceeding all expectations. And I think there's plenty in there as well that should fuel the belief that he is still well and truly the right man to turn things around, because you don't do what he did at Liverpool last season unless you're an elite coach.
Yeah, this is a proper in-depth look. I absolutely love it. James, thank you so much for coming onto the show, and congratulations on the book.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you so much, James Pearce there from The Athletic. Fascinating to see Liverpool's progression this season. It's not gone how we expected it at all. I mean, the Premier League has gotten much more physical this season. We've seen that in numbers. I mean, do you think, Julian, Liverpool have almost gone in the other direction?
Other direction as in?
Yeah, in terms of physicality. Like we're looking at teams like City's, Pep City and Arsenal.
Yeah.
They're big players now, but their structure now seems to be a bit more tactile, smaller players, quick football.
Yeah, and I think James was right. The intensity is not as strong as it was last season. The pressing is not as good. The counter-pressing, certainly not. That could be down to Gravenberch not being at the level of last season. McAllister certainly neither. So in midfield already you're suffering and you don't have the control that you used to have last season, which I think is partly, for me, a reason to explain why they just can't get hold of games like they used to. Because even when they were winning, we talked about the 5 defeats in the last 6, but before that they were winning in the 92nd minute, 96th minute, and we said from the beginning, this is not sustainable anyway. This is not, at some point this is going to stop. This is not good enough from them. And the lack of control in that midfield, I think, also spreads to everywhere else. The Mo Salah's form is a big problem. We've said that since the start of the season. And last season, I think we tend to forget that Salah bailed them out a lot of games with his goals and his assists, really. Yeah. So this is for me why they are where they are now. But there's a solution, of course. There always is.
This year is a transition.
Yeah.
Last year wasn't a transition. I'm not taking anything away from Arne Slot. I think he did the right thing, was kept it all very similar to what Klopp. There was nothing wrong. It was just little tweaks. All he did made Mo Salah a little bit happier. He got Virgil van Dijk to sign, couldn't manage to persuade Trent to sign. The change of players, now putting them all in now, after they went to the transfer window and everyone thought this was it, transition from players to club to country to England is very difficult. I've experienced it myself with signings. It takes a long time for them to settle, and it's proving very difficult for them at the moment.
Well, that's Liverpool, and coming up after the break,
Liverpool head into their clash against Nottingham Forest under growing pressure to deliver a convincing response to their recent struggles. Arne Slot's side, now drifting outside the top 4 race, have been criticized for inconsistency, wasteful finishing, and a worrying drop in intensity. With fitness issues surrounding key players and several summer signings still adapting, Liverpool entered this game needing more than just 3 points. They need momentum. Nottingham Forest, meanwhile, arrive with confidence after stabilizing their form in the league. Although their away record remains inconsistent, their defensive shape has improved, and they have caused problems for top sides this season with quick transitions and aggressive pressing. For Liverpool, careless turnovers in midfield and slow defensive recovery have become recurring issues, making Forest's direct counters a real threat. The spotlight is once again on Mohamed Salah, who has struggled to find rhythm in recent weeks. Without his consistent influence, Liverpool's attack has looked fragmented, often relying on individual moments rather than cohesive patterns. Darwin Núñez is expected to start, but his finishing remains unpredictable. Florian Wirtz and Dominic Soboslai continue to search for form, and Slot's tactical reshaping has yet to produce the fluency Liverpool fans expected. Defensively, Liverpool remain vulnerable. The absence of Trent Alexander-Arnold has hurt their build-up structure, and Virgil van Dijk has been forced into covering more ground than ideal. Forest's pace on the wings could expose these gaps unless Liverpool show better discipline and control in transitions. Ultimately, this match represents more than a routine league fixture. It is a test of mentality, structure, and the squad's ability to respond under pressure. A dominant performance could restore confidence and stabilize Liverpool's season, but another stumble would deepen the concerns surrounding Slot's project and raise further questions ahead of a crucial December run.